What's up, guys? Today we've got a little bit of a different video. The video is going to be about one, a garage update, which is the Specialized Cirrus X 4.0 behind me. Get into that in a second. And then two, we're going to cover some of the cold weather gear that I wear whenever I'm on my cold weather rides in the mornings. And so without further ado, let's just cover what's going on in the background because you might be questioning because typically I'm riding e-bikes. Now I've got a regular bike. What's going on? So the past week, obviously there have been a lot of sales go online, and one of those sales on Specialized website was the Cirrus X 4.0. This is the older version of the frame. It was on sale for $899 on their website. They sold out on the website out of the large size. I typically don't go onto their website and purchase. I typically go to my local bike store and try to find a bike to buy, or I find something on Facebook that's a little bit used. Well, this bike just happened to be at my local bike shop whenever I needed to pick up a tube, and I thought, why not try it out? I tried it out, ended up thinking more about it for a couple of days, and then just ended up pulling the trigger and purchasing it. So why is it that I bought this? I have tons of e-bikes. Why would I buy a regular bike? Well, what I wanted to do was not necessarily stop riding e-bikes, but I wanted to do both. I never got into e-bikes to be able to just ride e-bikes alone. I do love riding e-bikes. I prefer riding e-bikes, but I also want to have that stamina on a regular bike. And just get that experience, posting those PRs and things on my regular bike as well as my e-bike. So I ended up looking around and I was trying to find something that was lightweight as well as, a more upright seated position. And there's not a lot of bikes on the market that fit that kind of area, right? And so the Specialized Cirrus X fit that area. There's actually a carbon version of this. That's what I really started looking at in the beginning. It was a little too pricey for me, so I ended up going with the aluminum version. I'm pretty happy with it. I think for $899, I got a pretty good deal. The bike is light exactly where I need it to be. It feels really great riding around. It's got this little shock up here on the headset that I didn't think was, anything to write home about, but I've been riding it. And to be honest with you, it's either really, really great or I just have gotten really, really good at riding the road and missing bumps and interpreting that with my wrists. But I can tell you right now, when I ride this bike, I don't feel jitter in the front whenever I hit stuff. And I'm riding at probably like 65, 70 PSI on the tire. So I definitely should feel those bumps, and I don't feel them as much. So I am a true believer in this little shock that's in the front. How it's going to hold up over time, I don't know. But I can say I have nothing but high opinions of this bike so far. The only thing that I don't love are these really large platform pedals, which some people might like. I tend not to like them because whenever I lean in my turns, I know I should be, changing up and down whenever the opposite way whenever I'm turning, but I don't always do that because sometimes I like to pedal through a turn and I end up striking the ground. I don't love that. So for that, or with that in mind, it actually lends itself to the pedals that are on the Yamaha, the Crosscore, and the Wabash. They're actually a thinner pedal, and I've gotten used to riding those around and not actually hitting the ground. So I don't know if that's actually why, but I imagine it's some of the reason why, because it's not as wide and it's not going down as low. Anyway, that's the update on the garage on this bike. I really like this bike. Like I said, I'm not intending to get away from e-bikes. I'm not intending to ride this bike all the time. Probably what I'll do is supplement. I'll ride this bike one day, I'll ride my e-bike one day, and I'll just transition through them and just ride them as I go. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to have the e-bike that, essentially when my knee starts hurting me or when I want to go for a ride every day for 45 minutes, sometimes doing that continuously on a regular bike ends up making my knee hurt and I'm not able to ride for a couple of days. So the intent of this is I'll ride my e-bike when my knee is flaring up, and then I'll ride this regular bike when my knee is feeling really good. And then I'll just do in between as I see fit. So that's the intent of this bike, and that's a quick garage update, but let's get into what I really wanted to cover, which was the cold weather gear, and give you guys maybe some ideas on some cheap stuff that you can buy in order to ride in colder weather. Now, keep in mind, I live in Texas, so the weather here is not extremely cold. It's the last couple of days gotten down to like 30 degrees, which felt like, 27 or 28 or something like that. That's definitely colder than what it is typically here. It may not even be considered cold at all for you folks who live up north. But for us down here, it's cold, right? So this is the gear that I wear whenever that kind of weather is occurring and it's early in the morning. I still want to go on my ride, but I don't want to freeze. So let's go with the first thing, and it's the most common thing that I wear, the most common thing that I start putting on. Once I get to the point of having to wear, so I've got 3 modes, right? I've got tank top, short sleeve, or a long sleeve shirt, right, with shorts. And that's my typical situation. If it's over 60, I'm wearing a tank top. If it's 60 and 50, I'm wearing a t-shirt. If it's below 50, I'm wearing a longer sleeve version of this. And typically right around 40 and 50 degrees outside. Yeah, you know what? I'd say 40 degrees is when I start wearing these. When it's 50 degrees or higher, I end up still wearing my fingerless gloves. But lower than that, I tend to wear these gloves. And these gloves are not like mountain bike gloves. They're like a road bike fence-related glove. And I can tell you right now, this brand is Pearl Izumi. It may not even be around anymore. I've had these gloves for probably close to 10 years and ridden with these gloves a lot. And I can tell you right now, every time I go out with my mountain bike buddies, I wear these gloves, and a lot of people complain about their fingers with their regular mountain bike gloves, and these keep my fingers really warm. They keep the wind off of them. They're really ideal for weather like that. So that's the first thing. The second thing, whenever it gets a little bit colder than that, and this is going to be controversial, I like to put on a beanie. And because of that, I can't wear my helmet. There are beanies that you can wear with your helmet, and a lot of people do that. I don't. And so I end up putting this on and just wear it around whenever I ride in the mornings, and, call it controversial, call it what you will. I just do that. The majority of the time when I ride, I wear a helmet. But when it's extremely cold outside, I wear this. And there are solutions to not have to do that, but this is what I do. So typically whenever I ride with this, it's somewhere around 40 and 50 degrees. And then when it gets, about 40 degrees, about 40 degrees. Anything lower than that, I end up bringing out this face mask. And I put this face mask on like this, and then I wrap it around, and it kind of closes the beanie in, and it traps heat within. So as a result of that, I trap all this heat, and it makes me pretty warm, and it keeps my ears warm, and keeps my nose warm, and keep my front of my face warm whenever I'm riding in extremely cold weather. I don't always wear this the whole ride. What I typically do is I start out wearing this, and then whenever I get really hot and I start sweating up in here, then I take this off, I roll it up, and I put it in my little satchel. And just keep my beanie on. Or I could even take my beanie off and I can put it in my pocket. But I tend to leave the beanie on whenever I'm riding in cold enough weather to wear a beanie. So we got that. The next thing, which I think is probably more common than the beanie and the face mask, and this is a pair of 32 degree base layers. And so this is a shirt, and this is a pair of pants. And essentially what I do is I put it on underneath my shirt and shorts. I wear my shirt and shorts pretty much every time I ride, unless it's extremely cold. And then I put this on underneath it. And this, for me, you can get it at Costco. I think you can get 2 pairs for like $10, maybe $11. And you get 6 pairs of these, and you can ride all week and just wash them, like you would your normal laundry, and it works out really, really well. And you might ask, hey, do you wear Under Armour or anything like that? So I've tried Under Armour in the past. It doesn't breathe like this stuff. This stuff is not as thick. I don't know if you can see that, but it's essentially, you can tell that it's not as thick. And there, might be some riders that like it a little bit more warm and they like it a little bit thicker, but I prefer it a bit thin so that my body can still breathe, so that I'm not sweating a ton. Because even at this colder temperature, I mean, I think I measured it. It's like takes me to get to like 40 degrees or something like that outside to ride before I stop sweating profusely. So that's an individual thing, but and typically whenever I sweat a lot, let's say that I wore the Under Armour and I started sweating, and that sweat built up and it was just staying with the shirt. Well, the unfortunate thing about that is that makes me even more cold because it sticks with it. I would rather wear something that didn't make me sweat and also trapped heat than wear something that trapped enough heat to make me sweat, and then I ended up being even colder as a result of that over the long run, right? And then the fourth thing that I have, or the fifth thing that I have here are, um, I just found these out by happenstance. Last year, I ended up going on a ski trip, and I needed some shoes that I could wear and into the snow and not get my feet wet or cold. And so I ended up going to Walmart, and maybe not everybody's first place to check is Walmart, and I bought these Ozark Trail shoes, and they're waterproof shoes, and I hesitated when I purchased them because I didn't think I was going to be using these shoes that often, because I don't typically go snowboarding or skiing or anything like that like every year. So anyway, I bought these pretty much the majority of the year. When I wear them, my feet sweat and I don't prefer to wear them. But once it starts getting to like 40 and 50 degrees outside, when I wear my regular mountain bike shoes or my regular tennis shoes, my toes get really, really cold. And they have like covers that you can put on there. But I found that those covers are kind of expensive. If you just go to your local Walmart, buy these shoes. You could use them as lawn shoes or something like that as well. But just buy these, wear them, and it traps the heat in, keeps the cold out. And I found that I can wear these when I mountain bike. I can wear these whenever I ride, locally right here, in the local neighborhood. And it keeps my feet warm, and I don't have to worry about, my toes freezing and stuff like that. So that's that. That's pretty much all for my cold weather gear that I have, that I typically wear. If it gets colder than that, I've got a Columbia sweater that I put on, and I've got some pants that are this same brand that kind of have the thin liner in there, but I don't typically wear those unless it gets below 30 degrees. And I don't love riding below 30 degrees unless I absolutely have to, and it's been like a couple of days and I can't get back out there. I tend to shy away from it, or I just wait till, later in the day, maybe around lunchtime or something like that. All right, guys, that's it for the cold weather gear. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Consider subscribing. Comment down below if you want to see any more content related to these cold weather specific items, or if you have some type of cold weather situation that you commonly run into and you want more information on it, or if you have advice, comment down below on what temperatures you ride in, what kind of gear you ride in, maybe even leave links so other people can find it as well. Appreciate you guys watching.